Now that the player is able to lose the game, we should give the opportunity for the player. Actually, we must give the ability to the player to win the game. And in this case, we simply want the player to survive for as long as they can. Okay, right now we have one jumping sphere. We should wait for maybe 15 seconds right now for the jumping enemy to be jumping around. And if we beat that time, then well, we beat the game. And to do this, we need to make an user interface. We need a graphical user interface to show information to the player so they know where they're currently at. To make an interface in Unity is very simple. We right click in hierarchy, begin to choose UI, and then Canvas. Okay, there was nothing new added here, but if you look at the scene window and you double click the canvas, you're going to see this. Okay, you might even want to press 2D to see that. So if this is your first time working with canvases in Unity, it's actually a pretty simple concept. Right now, it's like we have two cameras. We have the main camera that renders the game for us, so it shows the player, it shows the enemies and other things, and we have another camera that is going to render whatever we put in the canvas. And the trick here is, it doesn't matter what we add to the canvas, it's going to be rendered on top of the game. So for instance, if we select this canvas here, we right click on it, choose UI, and then we choose text. Okay, then we're going to have this new text message here, and if you look at the game, the text is going to be there, okay, on top of everything. If you move the player on top of that text, it's going to look like this, okay, then, well, the text is going to be rendered on top of us. So what I'm going to do here is, notice that in the project window I've added a fonts folder, but you don't necessarily need this. There is a built-in Arial font that works just fine, but I've added another one here because it's going to be prettier. So in the fonts folder I have these ones: Oswald Bold, Light, and Regular. You can download these for free at the internet, or you can use whatever font you want. So to change the font, I can just select the text here, and I can change the font here from Arial. I'm going to click on this circle and I'm going to choose Oswald Bold. Okay, that's going to be much easier for us to read. So this is what we have right now. And there are a few things we have to worry about. Notice that if I maximize this window, the text is going to be very small. Okay, and if the resolution is different, then the text is going to be big. So there is a bit of an inconsistency of what size is going to be used here. So to solve this, we need to select the canvas, and we need to pay attention to the canvas scaler. We need to change the scale mode from constant pixel size to scale with screen size. And we need to set a reference resolution. So what we're doing here is we're going to define a resolution that is going to be used throughout different devices. So for instance, if we can set X to be, for example, 1080 and Y to be 1920. Okay, so that's full HD resolution. So that's what's going to be used. And right now it's going to match the width, okay, of the screen. Let's understand this by practice. We're going now to select the text that we have. It's very, very small right now because we're using full HD. We're going to increase its size like this, and we're going to also increase its font size so we can read it. Right now it's 120. Okay, if you look at the game, it's looking like this. If we maximize, it's going to keep its size, but we also have to pay attention to the aspect ratio of the screen. Okay, we see that the size is consistent, but if we change the aspect ratio from 9:16 to 3:4, notice that the text scaled up a little bit more. Okay, initially it looks like this, and now it's looking like this. So the last thing that we have to do in the canvas is look here. Okay, we set scale with screen size, we set the reference resolution to be this one, and the screen match mode is match width or height. That's fine, but here it's set to match the width, but we want to match the height. Okay, because that's going to be consistent in different platforms. As your game is going to run only on the portrait mode, on portrait devices, then we should match height completely. So we put 1 here. So the text looks like this in 3:4. It looks like this as well in 9:6. Okay, doesn't matter if it's maximized or not, the text size is consistent. That's very important. Okay, make consistent things so it's going to be more or less the same experience in all devices. Okay, now we're going to grab this text and we want to move it up. Okay, we want this text to be, let's select the transform tool and we're going to move it here. Now, another trick for you. If you look at the game window right now, the text is in this position. But if you change the aspect ratio to 3:4, the text is still going to be in the same place. But that's a bit odd, okay? We want the text to be anchored in this top left position. Okay, so it's going to follow the size of the screen, whatever it is. To do this, we can simply select the text. And here we have some sort of anchoring mode. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to choose this one, top left. Okay, and if you look at the scene window, you're going to see the changes in this. Okay, it's much better to leave it here instead of the game window. Okay, let me move closer here. So it was like that before. Okay, it was centered here. You can see the anchor here. But if I move to this position, it's going to be here. Okay, and one thing that you might want to do to improve the positioning logic here is you want to change the pivot. So X I'm going to change to 0, so the pivot's going to be in the left, and Y I'm going to change 1, so it's going to be on the top. So this is now considered the origin for this text. Now I'm going to set the position on X to be 20 and Y to be -20, so it's going to look like this. Now that we have this, we can go to the game window. Okay, new text is here. And we can change that to 3:4. It's going to be anchored here. 9:16. It's going to be here. Okay, so that's properly anchored. And now what we want to do is to transform this text into an informational text. It's going to tell how many time is left. So in the text here, we're going to type time, a colon, 0s. It's going to be 0 seconds. And what we have to do is we need to make a logic for making a game timer, and we're going to tell if the player won the game. Okay, so let's save the scene and move on to the next lesson.